Hey, everybody, we are back once again, and welcome. Reminder, all of this is being recorded. So if you've missed any of the segments, they will be out there for you, and we'll get to work on that as soon as this is over. So probably Sunday afternoon, Monday, we're going to start to segment this out. No one wants to watch a 12 or 15-hour straight 2-day presentation. So we'll, I know the folks at Virtual Railfan are going to take care of that and segment it out. So the important part is, if you've missed any part of the segments, you'll be able to grab them again. So keep that in mind. Okay. So let me tee this up, this next presentation, guys. And this one is an interesting one for me because it happens to be 4 times a quarter. Okay. And what happens is people call and say, I have this collection for whatever the reason. They have this collection. They are the executor of an estate and they don't know what to do with the collection. And oftentimes they think it's worth gazillions of dollars because it was the love of whomever owned the collection before. So I try to explain to them. We, and the Amherst Railway Society, guys, offers a couple of things. We will appraise the collection. We will give them alternatives, but we'll find out, do they want to sell it? Do they want to donate it? And we'll give them alternatives to where they could sell, to whom they could donate, that kind of thing. We do this all for free. We've gone into, I couldn't tell you, and my guys, some of them here, a lot of you folks listening, a lot of my guys listening, you know, we've gone into basements and actually cleaned basements right down to nothing left where a railroad, where a layout once stood. So we do that, but there's also others who do that. So we're going to put together a little bit of a program that will help you understand more. But that's what today's next interview is all about. So we have what's considered and what's called the Jim Walsh Collection, guys. This is a little bit different. This is brought to you by Linda Walsh. We recorded this earlier in the week. Guys, Linda and the Jim Walsh Collection is a gold sponsor, and I'll come back after the interview and wrap this up. But what this is all about is all of a sudden there's a collection. And Linda didn't know anything about trains, but she had to teach herself. Okay, so interesting stuff. And she had the wherewithal to do it, I might say. I've had many conversations with her, and to the point where I'm almost in love with her. So Linda, if you're listening. So with that, guys, we have this great recording of what do you do when all of a sudden you have this collection. Now, what's different about this collection is this is the most high-end brass collection I have ever seen. And we'll take a trip during the interview to the website. So with that, let's roll the videotape, guys, and I'll be back as soon as that's over. Thanks. Linda, thanks for joining us. And you are the executor of the Jim Walsh Collection. The Jim Walsh Collection is a gold sponsor, and we appreciate that very much. So what happens? Yeah, thank you. And what happens here is I'd like people to know how you are going through the steps of dealing with this collection. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, luckily, Jim had very good friends that are train experts. And so, well, what happened initially is that he thought that a dealer down in Florida was going to be selling the collection. And that didn't work out because the terms were just not favorable to the estate. And so I got dumped with all of these trains. And so Jim had an inventory list, but it wasn't digital. So the first thing I recommend for someone to do is digitize your inventory, because it's going to make a huge difference once you start getting going, regardless of how you sell the trains. And so anyway, that got done. And
you're including pictures in that too when you say digitize, yes?
No, not, it's in an Excel spreadsheet.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
Excellent.
However, whatever program you use to, for inventory would work out. But I used Excel. And actually, I have to say, it was Jack McGarry's wife that did this from Allegheny Scale Models. He was selling the O scale stuff, and he did a good job with that. The HO I had to take back because it wasn't happening fast enough. He doesn't have the way is he doesn't have a website that is conducive to photographs, and that's really how you sell it now. And so that was that. And so Hugh from Buffalo, Jim's good friend, he did the pricing for me. He basically set up the trains in a book to say what the price points were, if they were low, medium, high, this type of thing. So Hugh from Buffalo was a very good friend of Jim's, a train buddy for years, and they corresponded a lot. And so he was so helpful because he could let me know the values. He created a whole book, it's here somewhere, on the low, medium, high priced trains. So I knew what the scope was for that. And then, like I said, I had everything digitized and realized that I wasn't going to be using a dealer initially because it just wasn't working out. And so, so my background's in sales and marketing and digital marketing. And I actually gave workshops on website development for SCORE in San Francisco. And so I thought, well, I trained so many people on doing this. Why don't I listen to my advice? And so we created the Jim Walsh, it's the JimWalshCollection.com. And I started just taking pictures and listing trains and figuring out how to sort it between the product scale, the builders, the roads, all this. And of course, all this was Greek to me. I didn't know anything and still pretty much don't know much about trains, but I know sales and marketing. And so that's how this all got started. And quite honestly, it's starting to really work out. I was very fortunate to meet Matt Dowd from Resourced Rails, and he has been a fantastic dealer for me. He's honest, he's really straight, train smart, and he's just very giving on advice and all that. And so initially the prices were too high on the site, and so we adjusted those, and now we're having this incredible sale. And I have a lot to thank with Matt. And so he's been buying the lower priced trains because I want to keep the website to higher valued trains and not mix them up. Jim was adamant about this on websites.
Matt is part of the virtual show, by the way, Linda. So
yeah, I know. He's great.
Not only is he a good friend to you, but he was a great lead for us. So thank you so much for that.
Sure. Oh, of course. My pleasure. Is that sun bothering you now?
Is what?
The sun? Is that sun bothering you in your head, on your face now?
Oh, no, it's okay.
It's okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. So basically, between Matt and I, we've sold over 500 models, and we're kicking ass.
Yeah. Didn't you say to me when we first started talking that you're about halfway through the collection?
Yeah, exactly.
So there's still quite a few.
Oh, there's still quite a few left. Absolutely.
And if I understand correctly, Jim just didn't collect these. He not only did he get his hands on them, but then he tuned them up so they all run incredible.
Exactly.
Or incredibly, I should say, I guess, right?
He didn't repair trains for the public, but for his friends, he repaired trains for them. And he was in high demand to do this because he was so intricate and everything with all his repairs and his collection. Jim was a engineer, project manager at Kodak. And so he's a perfectionist. So when you combine the two of the whole intricacy of these models, and I mean, I can't tell you the hours, the majority of his life he spent in that workshop upstairs. Believe me,
I get it.
So,
as a model railroader myself, I get it. But it sounds to me like he's 10 times more of a perfectionist than I ever was or am. So
what he also did was he helped design models for T imports. And so, and these are the K3 Pacifics. There's several renditions of that. In fact, he talks about this in The Brass Trains, this book.
Cool.
And on page 220, he talks about all his research and which took years.
Excellent.
To
I'm
do all
sure
that.
it's considering those locomotives haven't been around in an awful long time. So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
great. Hey, should we check out the website?
Yeah. Here, if in fact, if you want to go to home.
Okay, hold on
first.
1 second. I'm going to share my screen, so it's going to take a second for that. And so bear with us, everyone. And now I think we're sharing screen. So let me see if I could jump to the website, and you can see that.
Yep.
Okay.
We're good.
Excellent. So this is the home page of the website. When I first go to the Jim Walsh Collection, you'll notice in the upper left-hand corner the address. So if everybody wanted to go to the jimwalshcollection.com, you'll be right where we are right now. So,
You can see there's several pages of models. We're having the sale now. As you can see, there's sale marks on all of them, unless they're sold. And you'll see how it's sorted. And it goes into great detail. As far as the sort, I only have so much information on these trains. And so I'm not the spokesperson for trains, but I can talk about website development. So if you go ahead and go to the Cincinnatian, I think I sent you that link.
You sure did, and here we are.
There you go. Okay, this is one of the trains that Jim was involved with. And this one actually just sold, and it's got the five-car passenger set too with it. And so
that explains the price. But it's still it's worthy of that price. Oh God.
And I have to say there is another set as well, because there was a plan A and a plan set A and set B.
Wow.
And so there's a whole other set too.
Yeah. So let me show people how they can bump around this site and take a quick look at, and then when you switch angles, so you've got like a dozen pictures for each item. Gosh, Linda, how long did it take you to set all of this up?
Well, boy, I didn't really count the hours. I just counted when I was going to be done. I set up a studio, and so that's why the lighting can be fairly good on them.
Yeah, they look great.
And each one takes about a half hour, and then I have to be so careful with it to unwrap it and get the inside and get the outside, and then everyone wants to see the box condition and if there's any imperfections, and you have to do that. And so it's intensive. This is not an easy thing to do. It's a full-time job, quite frankly.
I'll tell you, it's so professional looking. Kudos to you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Let me ask you, if people don't, know where to go as far as producing something like this, what should they just try to find someone who's a website developer for this kind of thing?
Well, they can contact me at sales@jimwalshcollection.com.
Oh, well, there you go. All right.
Yeah. I mean, I have a marketing company, and so this is what we do. And thank you for that question. But yeah. And so I can, in fact, if you go to the bottom of the page, if you scroll down?
Yeah.
You'll see that it's produced by Boomer Productions. And so that's actually my marketing company is boomer-productions.com.
Excellent. All right. I appreciate that.
Oh.
What would you do differently? Anything? Did it go the way you expected?
No, it didn't go anywhere near what I expected. I never planned to be in the train business, believe me. But I had to respect and give him the honor that he needed. This is not a collection that's toys. These are super high-end models. Yeah,
these are some of the best I've ever seen, and I've been around a long time, so I get it. And it is worthy of a separate site such as this to let people know. This is very high-end to me, and I don't mean in price. I mean in quality. And serious modelers would have a great time on this site.
Yeah. Totally. Jim, I mean, he spent the majority of his life in the train world. There's no question about that. And he was very generous to people with descriptions and advice and you name it. I mean, he was all about trains and fly fishing. That was it. That was his life. Oh, and the Jaguar, which
that's right.
I'm finishing that. The Jaguar. Yeah, it's a 67 E-type Jag, black with rust interior.
You sent me pictures of it. And it is probably some of the best restoration I've ever seen.
Well, it's interesting. His friend, it's a Concordia elegans restoration, and his friend told me the other day, because I'm gonna switch to that project now too. It's not quite done yet, and so I have to probably Sotheby's is going to put it on auction, but if I can sell it by private, then that works out too. But anyway, he was saying to me, because it's a 67, so a lot of these parts weren't available anymore and they had to be manufactured. And some of the screws were replacement screws for, different parts of the car. And Jim received an order from them and demanded to talk to the engineer who came up with this design, and spoke to him and asked him if it was aerodynamically tested. And of course it wasn't. So he went to an airplane manufacturer and bought screws there. I mean, this is the kind of intricate detail Jim went through. All of his friends can tell you this. I mean, he was obsessed with this thing.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure that carried over to all his locomotives that he fine-tuned and everything. Cool.
Exactly.
Excellent. Yep. Well, Linda, thank you so much. I really appreciate your advice. There's so many of our members that come to us saying, what do I do with these collections? And not on a scale of quality as this, but you could apply the same ideas to it. So I want to thank you very much for spending the time. And I want to thank the Jim Walsh Collection for being a gold sponsor as well. And we'll see you soon. No problem. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
Hey, everybody, we're back. And just as a follow-up, guys, with the Jim Walsh Collection and Linda Walsh, she has probably about half to maybe 60% of the way through the sale of that collection from that website, the jimwalshcollection.com. And what she's going to do as she's putting together, so we have not seen the last of Linda yet. She's putting together, guys, a program to donate to nonprofits some of the remaining pieces to help raise money for the appropriate nonprofits. The New York Historical Society, for example, New York Central Historical Society, as one example. So we'll get into more detail. We'll probably have Linda back either on a show and tell or in the next meeting to learn more about that. So Linda, thank you so much for spending the time with us, for being a gold sponsor. And guys, by the way, did you notice on the website, it's 20% off for this whole weekend. So in honor of this show and the fact that it's 2021, she was going to do 21%, but I said, no, just do 20%. It's easy. So, but she did offer that discount to anybody that's watching. So if you go to the website over this weekend, you'll see 20% off on that brass collection. And that's a serious discount, guys. So Linda, one last time, thanks so much. All right. So let's go to a couple people we could talk about, guys. First one is just a quick reminder. Bar Mills is running their clinics and specials and shows. We've got all kinds of contests going on. So if you get a chance to stop off and see what's going on over at Artie's place with Lenny's help producing, check it out if you will. And the next place we want to talk about is Deepwoods Software, guys. So I'm heading over to our downloads on our landing page. That's virtualwarfan.com/Amherst. I'm clicking on the list of exhibitors. I'm heading down to the D's, and there's Deepwoods Software. We're talking about Bob Heller, guys, Robert Heller. And when we click on his website, interesting stuff going on here. Okay. He does all kinds of stuff, but this guy is good, guys. This is a true geek. And I mean that respectfully. If you're, Rob, if you're listening, I mean that respectfully. But he's got some cool stuff, a lot of railroad related stuff. Guys, he will even do some work with you. He'll commission himself to do some changes to things that you might want and all that kind of thing. So look at what he does. He's been coming to the show for a long time. Okay. So he's got a model railroad system that's a software package that could really help whatever you're doing. So check it out, see what it's all about, and see if he can help. But it's really worth the visit to his site. And he's been, again, as I say, he's been at our show forever. And he does all kinds of stuff for all kinds of platforms, including Linux. So which implies JMRI compatibility, guys, and all kinds of other stuff like that. So Rob, thanks for being with us. And guys, next I want to go to the directory. All right, and I love this company. So if I head on down to Deluxe Materials, guys. So if you look down at Deluxe Materials, this is John Bristow. He usually has his wife with him as part of the company as well. And it's deluxematerials.com. He's from the UK. So he comes over here every year. I think this would have been, oh gosh, it maybe his third or fourth. Third for sure, guys, maybe fourth, I'm not sure. But he comes all the way over here. And we can recognize him because he's the one with the traveling salesperson that goes around to all the buildings. And some of you may recall that. So she's got the logo jumper suit on and just runs around with an umbrella. I think sometimes with an umbrella. She probably puts on 10 miles a day at this show. She's just a walking advertisement for Deluxe Materials. But you know, I call him the glue guy. And I have built, just like a lot of you, I've done more on my railroad in the last 6 months than I have in the last 6 years. I'm not kidding. My railroad, it's like the cobbler's kids. They go barefoot, right? Same with me. I'm the last person to work on my railroad. I'll build models for other people, et cetera. But I'll tell you, in the last 6 months, I've gone through probably a 10 of his tubes of super glue. And not that they, you know, I mean the opposite. They work great. I'm putting so much stuff together that it's a pleasure. And he's got other things for like ballast glue, and it's already pre-mixed. It's perfect amount of water glue, thinned out. And he's got all kinds of stuff. He's got remover, super glue remover, all these little tubes that fit at the end for small spaces. So it's an incredible thing to see, guys. So head over to Deluxe Materials either deluxematerials.com, but I think it'll flip you to deluxematerials.co.uk, and you'll check out what he has to offer. It's a great product, and I swear by it because I'm using that in all of our models. Back about a year and a half ago, when we were working on the historic Northampton diorama of the downtown of Main Street, I went through another bunch of glue for that as well. So I've been using it for a few years now, and it is great stuff. Okay, so one more shout out, and let's go to, and I'm looking at, I think because we went to press by the time this group guys was upon me. This is a good friend of mine. This is Rob Caitlin. And he's our contact, and he's been to the show and done all kinds of extra things. He came up when we were at the Big E, when we were raffling off layouts, and was a carnival barker for 2 days straight. He did a great job. So he's done a lot of stuff for us. So thanks, Rob. Shout out. But guys, go to, it's a secure site. So https:// PCC Rehab Baltimore.com. And that will take you to a site where they're rehabbing PCC number 7303. It's a Baltimore streetcar, guys. And this is the Baltimore Streetcar Museum. It's been impossible for these guys because of the restrictions. But you should see the work they're doing. They've got a couple of videos of what's happening and all the work they've done. They're just, there's not sound in all of them, but it shows you through the pictures and the captions exactly what they're doing. And they are doing a heck of a job. And when you look at this stuff, from the condition it was to the condition it's in now, it looks like a brand new car on the parts that they finished. So they're working on the roof and the canvas roof and the seats and the lights and everything, new bearings in the wheels, you name it, they're doing it. So interesting stuff. So they're looking for help, volunteers, donations. I think they have a YouTube a GoFundMe site. But that's the kind of thing that a lot of these nonprofit associations are doing, guys. That's the kind of thing that we do as far as giving grants to when they apply. We like seeing things finished. We like seeing things restored, and it'll allow us to do those kinds of things. So keep that in mind. All right. So Rob, big shout out at the website, and it'll allow us to help you out, I hope. But and a big shout out also for all the things you've done for us, guys. And by the way, Rob, Caitlin was responsible for getting our trackmobile up here, and our trackmobile is actually in service on a railroad right now. So they've been restoring it. They put new windows in it, all kinds of stuff. It's cleaned up. They're lubricating it, all that kind of stuff. And I thank Rob for having that haul all the way up here and allowing us to use that for long term, I guess. But thank you again. So with that, I'm going to take just a short little switch. And Mike, let's go to a cam for the next just about 5 to 7 minutes, and keep us on track. And plus, I want to see what kind of action is going on out there. So switch us over to a cam, please. Hey, everybody, we're back. And next up, let's go visit a club layout. And we're talking about the Torrington area model railroaders. Believe it or not, these guys are gold class service sponsors. We love it. Thank you so much. And what's happening is I want to look at their website, guys. They even have a website. So these guys, listen to this. These guys, I think there may be 30 or 40, and Dave Owens is my contact there. Shout out to Dave. Hey, Dave. I don't know if I'm right about the numbers, but they started years ago with only a few, and they have quite a few. But what I want you to see on their website is you see the welcome, you see the home and the calendar, the club info and the layouts. These guys have home layouts, but this is the layout that's in their club. So if you look at this building, they have a 36 by 67 foot building. I forget, it was some electrical, I forget who used to own it, and they still own it, and they're leasing it from them. But guys, there's a bunch of guys that come and go and they build some quality stuff. But the shout out here is that most of the guys from this club layout show up at the train show on our first setup day on Wednesday, and then come back on Thursday, and they set up 1,000 tables in a lot of the buildings, mostly the Mallory complex, where their layout is going to be. And so they work their buns off, and I am so appreciative for that. And a lot of these guys also put on the prototype meet, guys. That's always the first weekend after Memorial Day. They missed as well last year because of the pandemic. So they'll be back, we hope, this year. But as we look at the website, if we go back to the club info, all right, it shows you a picture of where the club is located, 58 Lewis Street in Torrington. And they still meet every Wednesday, but they're doing, social distancing appropriately, et cetera. You can see a bunch of the guys. I know every one of those guys. Shout out to Lewis and Dave and Jack and Bill. And every once in a while, I see Lewis's son and Tim, all those guys. Oh, look, membership and club card. What the heck is a club card, Dave? You're in charge of taking guys out later, I guess, right? So it'll allow us to do that. But if you look at their calendar, they do a Christmas show in Torrington, and they raise some money. So these guys are out and about. This is a pretty cool club for the number of members that they have. So if I go to the welcome, you can see what's happening there, and there's some pictures. And if I go home, it takes us back. But here's a little bit of their history. So they've been around since 1996, and they started with just 8 members. Here's where I saw that number. They have about 30 members now. Okay. But they do a lot of educational stuff too, which I love. Anything for the kids, anything that helps us, even, and I say kids, could be the adults too. People that want to get into this hobby, they're there. So interesting stuff. So keep that in mind. And when we see them, again, we'll be thanking them again as well. But I would love you to go out, because this is, and see their website. Guys, this is a great example of a local club and everything they do, along with helping each other. They have a beautiful layout. You used to see some of Luis's modules. He did some ballasting modules as clean as it is perfect as I've ever seen. So interesting as well. And when you're at the club, they leave it set up all the time until they come up to see us. So they're operating, they're working while everything is, so you could play trains while everything is going on. So it's the quintessential club, guys. It's really very cool. And honestly, they're always considering new members. So don't hesitate to call them, contact them, and see what's going on with them. As I look at their calendar, they just have a couple of things that were passed. A lot of our calendars these days are outdated because there's nothing to do, but it'll allow us to see a couple of those things. So be sure when you go to the contact us portion of the page, guys, you'll be able to get a hold of these. But if you look at the gallery, the photo gallery, you get to see a lot of stuff. And a lot of these pictures, guys, were taken at our show. But they've got a couple of the Armory shows, which are in Torrington, where they set up at Christmas time. And there's a lot of different pictures here. And some of these modules are as good as it gets. And so check them out if you will. And they're in sections, by the way, too, so you could actually jump. So if I wanted to see what was going on in the 2008 Christmas show, you scroll down to the bottom, you click on it, and it looks like they have about 38 photos with that, and you'll be able to see. Typical nice gallery. You could click on any one of the pictures. It does a blow up of it, and it'll show you the date. Yeah, there they are in the Torrington Armory. So it'll allow you to see what's happening there. So cool. All right, so that's what we're talking about with our friends at Torrington. So I just want a couple of additional shout outs, guys. Let's go look at a couple of things before while we're gearing up for the Chester and Becket PowerPoint we have coming up at 1:45. So in about 10 minutes. But in the meantime, I'm going to head back over to the directory. All right. And I'm jumping down into the directory just to highlight and do a shout out to additional folks that are here. And let's go down and let's look at Carl's Toy Trains. It's Carl, of course. And if I click on his website, it's rivetin.com, guys. And you'll see if you follow along, Carl's Toy Trains, home of the Brakeman's riveting tools. Now, I'll be totally straight with you guys. I did not realize that Carl made this. I knew what he did in a lot of things, but he's responsible for this tool. I just wasn't sure. But this riveting tool, guys, is if you're a repair person, especially American Flyer, Lionel, any rivets that you need to repair, this tool that he has designed is like, what? Who knew? And you know what they say? If you've got the right tools, you could do anything. And these are some of the right tools. So and you see what it says on the site, for all your toy train repair tools. There's featured articles it was in Old Gauge magazine. Carl, man, I was impressed. So interesting stuff, guys. So it'll allow you to see what's happening there. And then another quick shout out before we show you some stuff tomorrow, guys. Again, Bollinger Edgerly, best Bollinger Edgerly scale trains. They've got some new products. We're going to have some in the studio tomorrow. We'll be able to show you and not necessarily do a live clinic, but we're going to show you some of the new product that's out, which is really cool. So Brian and Jill, keep it up. Another shout out to you. Hey, everybody, we're back. And Mike, can you hear me okay? I'm not hearing anything from your mic. But anyways, I just wanted to say thanks. And I could listen and watch that whole thing. And I knew it was really long, but I really appreciate the time you took to show it to us. And you got to see this Chester and Becket layout in person, folks, to really get a feel for the detail. It's actually, as I look over across from me, it's here. So I get to look at it almost every day that I'm up here.